Welcome back to PODZILLA, all you dames and geezers out there. We'd like to inform you that this week's episode is all about the old-time movies that you know and love, and maybe some you don't know and love. So sit down with a soda pop and some popcorn and a pretzel, perhaps. I don't know what they ate back then. Sit down with some popping corn. We're all pretty sure popping corn was around in the 1940s. I don't know. I wasn't alive back then. But I do know there were movies being made back then. Sit down and eat an apple. Apples have been around for hundreds of years. I don't know.
I don't know what they ate back then. What do they eat? What do they eat?
Crisco?
Sit back with a nice tall glass of Crisco. This episode is brought to you by Crisco.
Wait, wasn't there like soda pop was around back then?
Yeah,
I feel
totally.
like they said
Soda
like,
pop.
what was like an old time soda pop?
Coke, right? Just Coca-Cola?
But I feel like we should have like an old one. Wasn't there one called Moxie?
This episode is brought to you by Amelia Earhart.
We miss you. Please come home.
We miss you. We wish you a safe journey. You just flew away this morning, and we hope to see you real soon, Amelia Earhart.
I'm begging you to come back. Your dog does not like me.
We're already missing you, Amelia Earhart. We're sure we'll see you very soon on your voyage across the Pacific.
Or the Atlantic. Or the Indian Ocean.
We don't really know. We're not history buffs, and we did a lot of... Okay, let's move on. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of this bit.
Let's start the show. Play the theme music.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of PODZILLA. I am one of your co-hosts through Lights and Magic. My name is Braden.
And my name is David. And we're very excited about this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
It's like once you add production value with like something new, like when we added these cameras, it feels like we added like another layer of like excitement to the way that we do this
fresh
thing.
air.
So if you're an audio listener, you're kind of missing out on like the real nice crispy cameras that we've got going on.
Crispy stuff right there.
So anyway, you can listen however you want.
Yeah,
but
totally.
We prefer the video method.
Yeah, and also last week we had a really cool episode where we had like different video clips and everything like that, and there will be a lot more this week.
Right.
So this week, thought we'd jump into old Hollywood. If you couldn't tell by the intro.
Once again, Braden did a lot of research, and I'm kind of just going into this blind, which I feel like. I don't know if this is going to be the norm, but it just feels right for some reason that I have to be the one that has to take all of this information and
turn it into something, keep it entertaining. We can swap hats one day.
We can swap hats one day, but right now this method has been working pretty well. We've done it a total of one time.
And it was 1 out of 1. They were fun.
Success, for sure.
So yes. So this one we're going into old Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I mean like from the crack of old Hollywood.
So where is the threshold like year wise? Do you have like an end cap like
so
of old Hollywood?
We're talking about the golden years of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. It's ranges anywhere from the 1910s to the 1970s.
Okay.
I don't really want to talk a whole lot about like the first ever motion picture of like the guy riding the horse and whatever.
Right. Yeah, it's like 5 seconds long. And
yeah. There's not a bunch of fun things to talk about. So what I kind of drug out was things that pioneered into another thing that led to something that we love, you know?
Okay.
But also, when you Google Hollywood, like old stories about old Hollywood,
right?
It's all just a bunch of horrible things.
Yeah.
It's all terrible.
Yeah, I figured that just because, I mean, yeah.
Men were men back then.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say.
People are. I can't even. Yeah, there's a lot of like crap that happened and flew under the radar.
Of horrible, terrible things.
I'm kind of happy that we live now in an era where it's like you can't get away with that anymore.
Exactly.
So hopefully, in the coming years, we just it diminishes and becomes less and less.
We've come a long way as a human race about being human.
Yeah,
and have a long way to go, but we're taking the right steps. I think.
Yep, I agree.
Especially within the last 3 years, with everybody, outing literally everybody. If you like to mailman in Hollywood, they're probably a scumbag.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome back to Podzilla, all you dames and scumbags.
that's
Yeah.
right. We're here in the year 2020, and we hate you, Kevin
Yeah.
Spacey.
Welcome to the 20s. We used to love Kevin Spacey, and now we can't stand his guts.
Yep. Please return Amelia Earhart.
It depresses me to know that Harvey Weinstein was involved in so many good films. It's really depressing, and I have to almost ignore it now.
I normally can't even watch any movies anymore. I see his name, and I'm just a little bit sad and disturbed.
Disturbed indeed. Let's move along and stop talking like this again. So you did some research.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'm just going to read you a little intro I wrote. Not a writer. I didn't rehearse my lines, though, so I have to read.
Right.
Okay. First things first. Entertainment during the late 1800s was just confined to a stage. So
Totally.
just like stages, just like dark stages. Some had lights on them, mostly candles. Plays.
Yeah.
That's a
Theater.
just theater, like
Yeah,
Shakespearean kind of things.
Yeah, sure.
Turned out people weren't entertained by that anymore. So then they decided to, move forward and move forward with projected film is what they called it back then. Basically just, camera takes pictures really fast. They can project it onto a wall. No sound, obviously.
Yeah, and a lot of those early, it was just film, and then they would have a live band playing along too.
At least a pianist.
Yep.
But yeah, so what is actually kind of strange about it is obviously the first movie, if you haven't seen it, it's just like a dude riding a horse. And it's super short, super simple. It kind of just looks like a cartoon, of somebody drew. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's almost like
it's in Tarzan, the cartoon, isn't it?
I think so. Like it's one of the original, like during the
The like montage
I
of
Want
him
to
learning.
Know song. It's almost like you can't even make it out really what you're looking at. It's really dark but it was the first motion picture.
Yeah. So we talked about it there. It moved on to actual like movies that were probably about 30 minutes long, but they were just one center shot that didn't move, and it was on a stage like a play.
Right.
So you were watching a stage bigger, but you're watching a play a little bit bigger, but there was no sound. So it was better that you could see, but worse that, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And arguably not as good as a stage show.
Exactly.
Because you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's where they kind of evolved to. And then, obviously, actually one of the most influential films, yet again, I can't really talk about it because old Hollywood is all bad Hollywood, it seems. The most influential films of all time is called The Birth of a Nation. And it was the first story that, like, one of the first movies that they actually picked up the camera and they would, like, set up a shot, say action, they would act, and then they would, like, swap, camera angles.
Right.
Turns out The Birth of a Nation is a movie where the heroes are the KKK. I mean, it's 1915.
Yeah. Gross.
I know. So,
Gross.
That film has been taught in like film school for forever. And now it's
not celebrating the KKK, but still.
But celebrating the technical achievements. And now film, like I read some articles of theater teachers and film school teachers, why they still teach it. And it's also like, look at how far we come, respect the history of blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day on whether they should teach it or not. But needless to say, that was one of the first movies that, they moved shots.
That was a multicam shot.
Yes. So yeah, that was that. Hang on. Sold a couch earlier and I'm still getting.
Everybody wants that couch. Catch that couch.
Okay. He got rear-ended.
That guy?
Yeah.
What? The guy who just took the truck?
Yeah.
What happened? Are you kidding?
No.
Oh my gosh. The guy in the truck got rear-ended?
With the couch. And I guess the couch is busted.
Oh my gosh. Wait, time out. This deserves to be on this podcast.
Okay, sure.
This deserves to be on this podcast.
I sold a couch.
Braden and Sydney, his wife, have been slowly, they're getting rid of some things in their house to make way for some new things in their house. So they sold a couch. Braden and I, before we started the podcast, the guy who bought your couch came over and we assisted him in putting the couch in the back of the truck. Mm-hmm. And he was very excited about this couch, and he was very proud because he was looking to buy it brand new online, and he found the same exact couch that you had.
He even told me, he said, I'm not even going to let anybody sit in it.
Right. Nobody's going to sit on it. It's strictly going to be like an art piece in the house because it's a cool looking couch. It's like velvet and blue, and it's really cool. Anyway, we loaded it up, sent them on their way. Yep. What was the message that you just got?
Hang on.
Just read it to me flat out. Give it to me just the way that it was sent to you.
So you're not going to believe this, but I guess I got distracted on my way home, probably because I was watching Netflix.
What?
Yeah, he was watching Netflix.
No. See, it's pop culture. It
all
all comes around.
I hate to get in touch with you like this, but someone rear-ended me whenever I had to slam on my brakes. Is there any way that you would give me a discount?
What?
Give me some of my money back, essentially.
Why?
Is what he's saying. I have no clue.
It's his property now. Why would you give him money back?
Sorry about this.
Maybe this shouldn't be on the podcast because I'm about to go off.
Sorry about this. Timing is everything, I guess. It just so happens that karma likes to kick my butt in that regard.
Okay. Now we're going to have a whole different discussion. One, don't watch Netflix and drive.
That's
what
insane.
In the world?
I've never heard of that.
That's insane.
I've never heard. How would you do that?
Maybe he has like one of those little things that you put your phone up on. What? He doesn't, he lives 20 minutes away.
Right.
What show is worth watching on a 20-minute drive?
Avatar.
Well, yeah, okay, fine. But I'm saying...
What if he's like, I was watching Glee?
Just wait till you get home. It's a 20-minute drive to where you live. Why are you watching Netflix? One, don't watch Netflix. Two, you admitted that it was 100% your fault.
Yeah. And then he wanted some of the money back.
Can I have money back for me being...
Here's why I don't feel bad about it. Here's why I'm just like, not my problem. Because one, it is not my problem. And two... He came into the garage, picked up the couch, and he said, hey, cool bat signal, because he saw the bat signal we made.
Yep.
David then proceeds to tell him about, like, go watch the video and everything.
Did not care.
The time of day.
Did not care. He was like, oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like we built it. Like if you want to watch the YouTube video, you can go check it out.
Yeah.
Not because I just plug myself when I meet anyone anywhere.
Yeah. He showed interest.
He was like, oh, that's cool. It's a cool bat signal. I was like, oh yeah, we made it. Yeah. We have a podcast. Did not care. Didn't look me in the eyes.
Nope.
Was just like, oh, cool. Yeah. Back to the couch. Yep. Like,
I gotta hurry up and go watch Netflix
cool.
and drive.
You have a pop culture podcast. I don't care. I'm gonna go watch Netflix while I drive. What? I don't understand. And here's the other thing is, I told him about our podcast. There's like a 1% chance that he's going to go to that YouTube video.
Yeah.
Very slim chance. But when he does, if he comes across this podcast episode and hears us talking about him.
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, what are you going to do?
Sorry, my guy.
I'm sorry, my guy.
You got to take it, like, try to... I gave you this couch for $200.
Yeah.
It's a $400 couch.
Yeah.
I mean, true. I mean, okay, here's also a thing. I was going to tell him, like, at one point when my dog was a puppy, she ripped one of the cushions.
Uh-huh.
We sewed it back together yesterday because we were going to sell it.
Right.
So I was going to tell him, like, we sewed this up yesterday. I was about to point to it. I said, nobody sat on it. So if anybody sits on it, it might pop open. I don't know. But that's why I'm selling it for $200.
Right. That's a bargain.
It is a bargain.
I don't even need that couch, and I would buy it for
legitimately looked at me in the eyes and said, nobody's going to sit on this. And I was like, okay.
Okay, fair enough.
I won't tell you then.
Okay.
But then he got rear-ended, so I'm in the clear.
Here's the most buck wild thing.
Okay.
The minute the transaction happened where money was put into your Cash App account, it became his property 100%.
Exactly.
So the fact that he paid for it makes it his property. You're not going to go buy a couch from, wherever. Yeah. You're not going to go buy a couch from
rooms to go.
Rooms to go.
Yeah.
Get rear-ended, it gets messed up, and then you go back to rooms to go and say, hey,
Yeah.
this is damaged now. Can you give me some of my money
You
back?
know what I'm going to tell him?
What are you going to tell him?
Hang on.
Are you going to
let me go
construct
to
a very well-crafted, I'm sorry to hear that?
I never get on Facebook. I can't find my Messenger app. Okay, I got it. Okay.
This is breaking news. This is the most amazing. This is the
We'll
most,
get back to old Hollywood briefly.
This is buck wild. I'm so glad this is happening because I just can't believe that happened.
Here we go. So sorry to hear about the accident. I can't give you any of your money back.
He knows where you live.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay. I would say the
But
same thing. I'm just trying to stir up drama
What
at
I
this point.
can offer you is a free estimate to repair your
This is perfect.
vehicle. Oops.
I work at a body
Send.
shop.
There you go. There you go.
How much does an estimate normally cost?
I mean, it was a brand new truck, so I wouldn't charge him anything. We only charge $30 for an estimate if your vehicle's 10 years or older, and that's just because it costs money to pull up the database.
So wait, the guy who sent you the money was in a smaller car.
Yeah.
The guy who was driving.
Yeah.
So did he rear end the guy who was driving?
My guess is either that, which would be so funny, or he slammed on his brakes, which caused him to slam on his brakes, which caused
the
car
truck
C,
to hit him.
No, car C to rear end the truck because
Right.
he said that the truck was rear ended.
So you're saying either truck was driving, he was behind it, rear-ended truck.
Yeah.
Or he was driving, truck was behind him.
Yeah.
He made a stop, truck hit him, third car hit truck.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yep. That's insane.
What's even funnier to me is that in that moment, they're still there, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
They're still taking care of the damage.
I would assume so.
And in the middle of them taking care of the damage,
He
he
wants to
took out his phone and text you, can I have some of my money back for something that's 100% my fault and 100% my property and not yours?
Yeah. Yes, and?
My brain, it feels like after hearing all of this, it feels like my brain is swelling. And like my brain's about to explode. It feels like my brain is pushing up against my skull because of the sheer audacity of what's happened.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
No, that your brain is.
I agree.
I think, like, to me,
That might
it's
be a
so-
metal. My nose starts bleeding. I just pass out. Oh my gosh. Something's gone wrong.
Oh,
That's
God.
crazy. Okay.
That's so
let's
funny
get back
to
to
me.
the podcast. The reason that deserves to be on this episode is because it is literally happening in real time. I'm
fair,
so glad
man.
you checked. I'm so glad your phone wasn't on silent.
If it was on silent, this bit would not have been in there.
Oh my word.
Wow.
Tell us in the comments below. Should Braden give this guy a discount?
I feel bad for him.
I feel bad for
I
him
offered
too.
to fix his car, which is above and beyond.
You offered to estimate. Give him an estimate on his car.
I mean, that's true. If he wants to schedule in, that's cool.
Oh my gosh, what is happening?
We're gonna jump back in. Welcome back to Old Hollywood, where we hate you and we hate your couches. Don't ask me for my money back, and I'm gonna. I can't.
I can't. I just almost like I need to lay down or something. It's so crazy to me.
Look, we don't like you and we don't like your couches.
Here's the thing. The message should have been. Here's what the message should have been. Hey man, you're not gonna believe this.
Mm-hmm.
I got distracted while driving. Don't tell anyone you're watching Netflix while driving.
It's insane.
I got distracted while driving, had to slam on my brakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing led to another. The couch got messed up. You know, how unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's it. And then if you, on your end, in your heart, were like, man, that's really sad. I should give him money back, which
which you would have to do out of the goodness of your heart.
Right, but at the same time, it's like
you don't have to at all.
You shouldn't.
If you don't, the goodness of your heart won't dwindle down.
No, that's the thing though, is it was your property, but the minute he bought it, it's his problem. I don't understand.
Just call this the couch episode.
I don't understand. If you buy a pair of jeans, you put them on, you walk out of the store, you rip them, you don't walk back into the store and say, I want 25% off for these jeans I bought. It doesn't work like
You
that.
don't have to convince me.
I can't.
I understand.
I can't even fathom this man anymore. And he's not even going to watch our YouTube channel.
He's not even going to like and subscribe.
He's not even going to like and subscribe. And I told him about the bat signal video, and he didn't care.
That's the only thing that I care about.
Listen, if he would have messaged you and said, tell me if this would change your mind.
Okay.
If he would have messaged you and said, hey, man, I got in a car accident because I was watching your bat signal video.
Full refund. Full refund.
I'd give him $200.
Congrats, man. You made $200. You got your money back and $200.
If he would have said, hey, man, that bat signal was so cool that I couldn't wait until I got home to watch the video. I was watching it on my way home, got distracted, and destroyed the couch.
I would have given it to him. I wouldn't have felt bad.
Because it's like, then it's kind of our fault.
Yeah,
in a weird
it kind of
way.
is. We shouldn't have made such a quality video.
Yeah, that is a quality video. Go watch it after this video.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Anyway, let's not talk about it anymore. I love that happened.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, let's talk about old Hollywood some
We're
more.
jumping back to 1939.
Okay.
Before Netflix or bat signals were around. Oh, my God. Okay. So in 1939, stop it!
I'm sorry.
I gotta keep going.
I just thought about the whole thing again. It's like an episode of Seinfeld or something.
This episode's about nothing.
What just happened is literally like an episode of a sitcom. It's amazing.
It really is.
Okay.
The only thing that would have made it better is if he rang the doorbell, and that's what stopped the podcast.
He might still ring the doorbell.
He might.
Okay.
We'll see if he responds to my estimate.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. 1939.
Yes.
The people are smoking.
People are smoking.
The women aren't
They don't
voting.
think they're going to die from it.
Yep. The people are smoking. The women aren't voting.
The world is trash.
But Hollywood's a golden place.
That's why it's called the Golden Age.
That's why it's called the Golden Age.
Because it was really like the only kind of good thing going on in America in the 30s.
That's true. Nobody could drink. Nobody could. Well, is that the time of Prohibition?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I think around that era.
Sure.
We were in the middle of World War II at that point.
Yeah. Oof. Anyways, Hollywood's good.
Yeah.
We're going to jump into that. It was a huge year. Wuthering Heights was released. Gone with the Wind was released. Hunchback of Notre Dame was released, not the Disney one.
Right, the OG.
Yeah. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. We know you don't know any of those movies, except for The Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Which I personally hate.
Really?
I hate The Wizard of Oz. Do you like The Wizard of Oz?
I don't hate it. I admire it.
You know what?
I admire it for what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
also
yes.
you don't like musicals and stuff.
I do. I've started dabbling in them.
Okay. You've been watching Glee?
Sydney has. I don't like Glee. We're always going to regionals. What are regionals?
Can I be completely honest with you?
Sure.
Never seen an episode of Glee in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the whole thing like over the course of quarantine
Glee?
on Netflix. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, with my wife. Yeah. Because I'd never seen it before and I was just curious.
I mean, yeah.
It wasn't because I wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
It was solely because why I watch any movie. Like I watch movies I don't want to watch.
Sure.
And
you gotta,
and
yeah.
In a way, you
gotta
do
check
too.
it off the watch list.
I had never seen it before, and I was like, "Well, it's on Netflix. It can't be that bad." It wasn't that bad, kind of at first, and then it took a dive into Crapville.
Really?
Absolutely. Anyway, I give Glee a solid 5 out of 10.
That's pretty bad.
That's bad.
Yeah.
It had some good moments though. It's cool.
But anyways,
I like musicals.
Here's the reason.
Sue me.
Here's the
I
reason.
like musicals. Give me a percentage off. I like musicals.
God's just like, oh, okay, 3 extra years for you.
I don't care. I like musicals.
Good
and
for
I
you, man.
say it.
You've already said it twice.
Okay.
The reason I don't like The Wizard of Oz is there's a scene that's embedded in my mind when they go to Munchkin Land. Or is it Munchkin Land or just
Munchkin Land?
So there's a scene where they're all singing. It might be the Yellow Brick Road song or something.
Well, there's like a Welcome to Munchkin Land song.
In that song, there's a scene where it's like a breakdown in a verse, and then these little munchkins are like swaying like this, And then I can't remember if they say the Lollipop Land or the Lollipop Guild.
The Lollipop Guild are like three little tiny guys. Like,
yeah, the Lollipop. And then they go like this. Then they go, the Lollipop Guild. The Lollipop Guild.
yeah, they're like seizing.
Yeah.
It's like every time they say that, like a demon curses their soul.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the director like whips them. It's like the Lollipop Guild. It's in the name of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
talk about suffering for your art, little guys.
I know. That movie might be worth a whole episode in itself.
That movie might be worth a Monday Movie Club.
Right. So
that messed you up as a kid?
I hated it because they were just going, like
it was painful to sing.
Yeah, and that group of them all sang like that, like the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah, so all of that came out, and many more films were released during this year and defined by advancements in 3 levels. They are the first movies to have
color,
film devices, plot, and technology. Like they pioneered this in all these films.
They became story based and not just like spectacle.
These movies, how they handled plot, they were the first movies to like have a narrative that was driven by relatable human characters, and they also established a clear beginning, middle, end.
Right.
Like the first movies with acts per se. And I don't know why this is the case, because plays had been around for like, I don't know, 100 years?
More, yeah.
I would assume more.
Yeah.
They had to have read books back then, right?
Right.
Romeo and Juliet, which was both a play and a book, you know? So I don't understand why it took them 30 years from the invention of,
motion picture.
Yeah, motion picture to do a movie that is beginning, middle, end.
Right. Yeah, it is weird, and I think most of it was just technological advancement, because in the 1900s, early 1900s, right, 1910s even, it was like it seems so far off, like the guy who did that first 5-second, like 200 frames or whatever it was of a motion picture,
right?
No way he could imagine like.
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, no way. Like that's insanity. So I understand that like kind of the trajectory of, I feel like, theatrical advancement has been like a steady incline of just technology just going straight up. And there have been a few dips where the technology doesn't dip, but like the use dips, where like a director got too excited about new animation and the movie feels flawed because there's too much dependency on animation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it was the first movies to do that, like centering shots. They were the first movie to center up a shot. Like these movies were, because the technology was finally available. I have no clue why that's the case either. I guess like I can't fathom whenever like we do anything, we center up the shot. This shot, this shot, this shot,
Right.
It's all centered, and then that's just like because we've been molded by
that's what
cinema.
you do. That's the first thing you do when you're looking at your shot is
once
center.
upon a time in Hollywood, nobody told them to center up shots. Nobody knew, like nobody saw a motion picture and was like, "Hey, that's not centered."
Right.
Right.
Like,
I wish that they would stand more.
They were making the rules for themselves at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the Wild West. So it's a really cool thing to think about, somebody having the idea, like a visionary, just stand here, and then I'll put the camera here, and then just talk right off camera.
Right.
Yeah, like angle your body and then talk,
Right.
Pretend somebody's right there. Because once they did that, then they decided to, well, if I'm having a conversation with you, then I can technically cut to another camera of the other person you're having this conversation with. So like, once upon a time in Hollywood, they send up a shot and say all your lines, look right here. I got rear-ended, who just bought my couch, and now he wants a refund. And so now we'll set up this other camera.
No way, man. No refund. Tell him to watch the podcast instead.
You get an Academy Award.
I represent the Lollipop Guild now. Yeah, that's crazy.
It is,
but it's huge development because
Yeah.
now people go to school and they learn that, which it's so weird that it has to be learned.
Yeah.
But back then it was just like we don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah, shoot from
like
the hip.
originally it's like if we want someone to have in their minds, it was like if we want someone to have a conversation, they need to both be in the shot, they need to both be looking at each other, and they need to be talking back and forth like a play.
Yeah.
Like they need to be, they both have to be in the shot. Like their way of thinking wasn't like, oh, we can cut it together. You know? That's amazing. It really truly is.
Yeah, like it genuinely is. And then the way that they got so creative with special effects as well. There's a bunch of old special effects, like that could be a whole episode in itself.
Right.
Like there's a bunch of Charlie Chaplin movies where there's modern times he's like doing this, he's skating through a library and he's like and he almost skates right off the ledge of this like staircase and he's like leaning backwards and it looks real.
Yeah.
But how they shot it was just a pane of glass and then they just painted like it
painted
was,
foreground.
Yeah, painted foreground. So technically when he was like waving his arms, I think you can see one of his hands dips behind it a little bit and you can kind of see the illusion break.
Right.
But it looks incredible.
Right, and it looks so real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those early days, they didn't have green screen, blue screen technology, or they couldn't paint in, elaborate sets. And they also, didn't really have the forethought of, we could create a miniature of this. It was like everything was huge painted sets.
Yeah.
Like, your set goes, 50 feet back, and then we paint. Even like Wizard of Oz, for example, is like the road goes up 40 feet and then we paint a matte backdrop that looks like it's going for miles and miles.
It's extremely cool. And then it gets a little bit crazy because then once they start doing stunts, they're very creative in what they can do. Like they're very creative. Like I'll put a foreground, paint it to look like you're about to fall down something.
And you have those influential people like Charlie Chaplin, like Buster Keaton, who were
just gonna put themselves
who
out
had
there.
the vision of making film.
Right. There's a scene where he's hanging on the clock tower, and it's just shot on a rooftop with a fake set, side of a building, and so it looks like he's dangling off, and they also get to shoot down, and it looks like the road, and you see the cars coming down and everything. It looks,
like he's about to
fall off.
Yeah.
But technically he was just like 6 feet off the ground.
Right.
Which is, it's all incredible. But
that's where cuts come into play because then he falls and then it cuts to a shot of him falling through, like a terrace.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him falling through another thing and then him hitting the ground.
Yeah. It's that stuff is really cool to me.
Absolutely.
But their creativity could have only taken them so far. Mm-hmm. So they did real stunts a lot of the time. And there's a scene, it's been going around Instagram a ton. I think it was with Buster Keaton too, where he's trotting along on a cart or a dolly or something. And he's just got his eyes closed, his ears closed, and he's just going like this. And a train is coming. And he straight up barely misses the train and then the train goes by him. Mm-hmm. So that was done for real. And then there's that scene of, I think it's Buster Keaton again, whenever the building falls and he's like standing in the
he's like standing right where the window pane just
simple
I'll math.
Measure it. Yeah. I'll measure it out and then we'll just let it fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Too Fast, Too Furious stole his train track thing.
Oh, did they really?
Didn't they? When they're like driving up then the train's coming and then they anyway.
Totally. Anyways, that's where it starts to get a little bit crazy.
Right.
So, once narratives were created and then they can do a simple cross cut of us having a conversation, then it just kind of snowballed, right? So films kept getting bigger and bigger and then Technicolor and then it was sound and then Technicolor, you know, and it all just kind of snowballed.
It's kind of amazing when you do think about, it seems like it took them a long time, but it's kind of amazing that within 30 years, they went from this short motion picture, no sound or anything, to The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
To, Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Where it's Technicolor, matched up audio, multiple cameras. It's pretty amazing that in a 35-year to 40-year span, that the technology rapidly increased.
It really did. So like once technology was snowballing and movies were snowballing and like now we can tell cohesive stories and like now they already love the movies, but now you're telling me an original story that I've never heard before. And, it's acted well and we get to look at the prettiest faces in the world,
Mm-hmm.
Like then that's when Hollywood was like exploded.
Right.
It was about 1939 when The Wizard of Oz came out, when they were like just exploded.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
the cars, all the music, all the, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you see in the movies like that take place back then, that's where it takes place because that's where it exploded.
Right.
Which is really cool that it all happened in 1939. Like that's the year.
It's like an influential year for film.
Yeah, like Wuthering Heights, whether you have seen the movie or not, which I'm sure you haven't. Gone with the Wind, every grandmother loves that movie.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Is.
I would honestly say if you love movies, you have to watch Gone with the Wind at least once. It's kind of how long is that movie? Like 4 hours or something?
It's so long.
It's kind of a commitment, but it's just one of those movies where you have to watch it just to appreciate the period and the sets and all the development that went into it.
Yeah, it's 4 hours.
Monumental film for the time.
And it was the first movie that ever had a curse word in it.
Mm.
Yeah, it says damn.
It does. And it's an epic moment.
It really is. It really is great. I don't know. I think my grandmother used to have it. I think it was on 3 VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was.
It was massive. But yeah, like, so that obviously is like the tipping point where it's just like, and here we go.
Right.
Because then at like a short, 10 years later, Alfred Hitchcock comes out on the scene and he starts doing like Vertigo, where it was the dolly zoom, like the Vertigo shot is what it's commonly referred to, but it's a dolly zoom. Yeah. And I want to give credit where credit's due, even though it doesn't really matter. But Erman Roberts was a cameraman who came up with it.
Cinematographer?
Yes, he was a cinematographer.
So for those of you listening who don't know what the Vertigo shot or the dolly zoom shot is, it would be as if Braden is sitting this distance away from me, right?
Yeah.
I have my camera set up, let's say, 20 feet back with a zoom lens. So I'm zoomed in on Braden's face.
Yeah.
I dolly the camera forward towards Braden, and as I dolly the camera forward, I zoom out so that Braden stays the same size, but the lens gets closer to Braden. What that does is it makes like a short millimeter shot makes you feel almost inside of someone, where their nose looks bigger, their ears look further back because the camera's closer to them. A zoomed in shot looks pretty like a photograph, like what I would see if I were far away from you. Your face looks squared up. Your ears don't look much smaller than your nose because of the distance.
Right.
So a Vertigo shot pushes in and it almost warps the view from a zoomed angle far away to a tight angle with a wide lens. Yeah. And what that does is it gives you that feeling of almost entering into someone's personal space. Yeah. And Alfred Hitchcock did that first in the movie Vertigo. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll show kind of
absolutely. Examples of Vertigo shots.
It's one of those iconic views that is used in so many films to portray the feeling of realization, surprise, shock, or unsteadiness, or someone just feeling almost anxiety. Right. Because it feels like...
It's often that moment of realization, right? It's that scene in Jaws where he sees the shark, or it's that scene in Vertigo where he's like falling. Right. So basically why they invented this shot is because he wanted to show... like agoraphobia is what it's commonly referred to, or the technical name. It's a fear of falling. Right. And Vertigo is about a guy who he dreams a lot that he's falling. Yeah. So they use this shot in this movie to simulate to make
the feeling
make people
of descending.
Yes. To make even when someone is standing still, it's like him falling, or the background stretching, and now it's not close up anymore. The background is so far away, and it feels So that's why
there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of uses of that in cinema over the last 70 years.
Right. Yeah. So that shot was originated in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, which if you haven't seen,
it's another one that should be on your list to watch.
And that one, unlike Gone with the Wind or The Wizard of Oz,
that's a fun watch.
That's a fun watch and a fantastic movie. Yeah. Alfred Hitchcock is just, he's a mastermind and of pushing to get the results that he wants. And
Alfred Hitchcock,
oftentimes it's way too far.
Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock, not arguably, I would say was the first stylistic director to ever create a movie.
Yeah.
Where, you have certain directors that you see their movie and you know it's them. You have
Right.
Wes Anderson, you have Tim Burton, you have Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
You even have people like Michael Bay that you watch their movies and you know they made that movie.
Of, like sun flares and under jaw shots.
J.J. Abrams has lens flares. Like
Right.
each director kind of adopts their own stylistic approach to filmmaking.
Right.
And arguably what Alfred Hitchcock did was he made it possible for directors to convey their own style into film. Because before that, every movie was made and shot the same way.
Right.
Gone with the Wind to Wizard of Oz. They're all kind of that static shot.
Yeah.
Kind of whatever.
Yeah, even
there's
like,
no upward angle, no
Right.
down angle. It's just all straightforward.
Yeah. And then you throw a vertigo shot in the middle of just a bunch of static shots, and then it's like breathtaking and it's game changing.
And for the time, I'm sure that was shocking to people. Now, because of how many movies we as a culture have watched, we don't notice vertigo shots. We just already know, we're already programmed to understand the feeling.
Right.
Like you don't notice a vertigo shot unless it's just blatant. Like we notice vertigo shots or certain camera angles, Dutch camera angles or whatever, and they're all used for specific purposes.
Yeah.
But you're trained now that when a vertigo shot happens without you necessarily thinking about it, subconsciously you immediately understand what the subject is thinking without them having to say what they're thinking.
Yeah, it's always that unsettling thing. Or it's always that realization. Yeah. So that's like a huge thing that,
Absolutely.
has forever changed cinema.
Absolutely.
And then the final movie that kind of like took the bat and just like set it up for everything was it's a horror movie called Surpresa. It's Surpresa.
Yeah.
It was the first film to use like Technicolor and like not just Technicolor but also like multiple colors, like
to invoke emotion or to invoke certain feeling.
So it's a let me just read you the synopsis of it.
Okay.
An American newcomer to a prestigious German ballet academy comes to the realization that the school is a front for something sinister amid a series of grisly murders. So an American dancer goes to Germany and, gets caught up in the typical horror
of Germany.
Of Germany, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you look at pictures of this or watch scenes of this, it's beautiful.
This was like really the first stylized movie.
Yes. Like Alfred Hitchcock obviously
he had a directorial style, but this was the first visual style.
This is the first movie that's got like red lights and blue lights, like set lights, that's lighting their set.
Intentional lighting.
They're lighting their set like we're lighting our set,
Right.
We chose to have a purple and an orange light. We chose to have, everything else be white light to brighten up everything else.
Right.
But he's the director, Dario Argento. Super Italian.
Yeah.
He was the first director to kind of like, I want this set to have a blue light over here, a red lamp over here, and lit from the front in white, but backlit purple. And it's so beautiful, but it's also like he uses in like warm colors and brighter colors to make her feel safe and everything. When she's dancing, a lot of the time it's brighter colors and everything like that. And then again, I've only seen certain clips on YouTube. I actually haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
But everything that I've seen, if there's anything haunting going on or anything demonic or whatever else is in, because it's supernatural horror movie.
Yeah.
Then like the lights will fade to red or the lights will fade to blue, giving it like a really cold.
Yeah.
And that has to inspire movies like Crimson Peak that Guillermo
del Toro.
Thank you. My God. Why are names
Guillermo del Toro?
Yeah. Guillermo del Toro. There we go.
Guillermo del Toro.
But that movie is a movie of it's a ghost movie, you know. And there's a lot of reds and blues and whites and and
what's in a very simplistic approach to this and for those of you who kind of are visualizing at home what we're talking about here, the stylistic approach, it can be used to invoke feeling. It can be used to invoke time period.
Right.
So like even a very simple, very minimal, simple example, and I'm going to bring it up because it was one of my favorite movies of 2019 is Little Women. Because what Greta Gerwig did in Little Women is this is the most simple way I can explain it.
Sure.
Is that Little Women takes place in 10 years from each other or so. All of the past shots are very warm oranges and very autumn colors, oranges, yellows, reds, very warm and inviting. All of the future, 10 years in the future colors are very cold, blues, some like really white purples, and what that does is subconsciously it trains your mind because they don't flat out put a date at the bottom like 10 years ago. They just jump back and forth. So what that does subconsciously to the viewer is it tells you what time period you're in without you even realizing it. Yeah. And that's what they were doing with Suspiria.
Exactly.
It was invoking emotion or time period based on color.
Yeah. And if that doesn't work on you, if it gets creepy, it gets red.
Right.
Which
is emotion. Yeah,
right.
An atmosphere. Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm saying. Is sometimes colors are used to invoke fear or loneliness or anger.
Right.
A lot of times madness or anger is the color red is used. A lot of times isolation or loneliness, the colors
like a
blue are
Yeah.
used. A lot of times with new life, yellows and greens are used almost, because you connotate subconsciously the colors of, the springtime, the yellows and the greens of spring with newness and youngness. So a lot of times if it's a baby's being born, it's bright lights because in the eyes of a child, all the lights are so piercingly bright.
Right.
And they use that so that you understand where the subject of the narrative, what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like that. Those are, and there's a million different movies.
Yeah, millions.
And like there's a million different turning points in like the Hollywood machine,
Totally.
how we got to movies like Star Wars and Avengers Endgame. Like there's obviously like A New Hope had completely changed the game for special effects with miniatures and everything like that. And like the creativity there, but like where it got started in the golden years of it.
Yeah.
It's all boils down to a certain time frame where like in 1939 when all these movies were released, and then that's how you tell a story. This is how you center a shot. Well, this is how you get your actors to do what you want. This is how you convey emotion. This is how, you set the tone for your movie.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where it all just kind of, was set sailing.
And what year did that come out? Suspiria?
1977.
Okay.
So it's
So this
fairly
is over the
newer
course of
compared to
okay.
Yeah. But that's like about where they stopped considering golden age is the 70s.
Right.
Because that's when like, Hollywood has a set standard of this is how you can tell a story. And obviously we can talk about directors who changed the game or did something new for hours.
Yeah, and this late 70s there was also a new like there were young directors coming on the scene.
Right.
There were people like George Lucas, or there were people like whoever you could name, whoever, Steven Spielberg, who in the 70s to like 1970 to 1979, like that decade, who were these young guys who were kind of turning film from just entertainment to art,
right?
An art form, and using colors to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we can talk about Stanley Kubrick and everything he did, but like
absolutely
these directors, like these filmmakers, and the way that they told stories way back then, whether it was the right way or whether like put aside all like the human side of making a movie, this is how we got here,
right?
And it's really inspiring to see like we started from here, and in 100 years, not even 100 years. 1939 was, 79 years ago, 71 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Check my math. 81 years ago?
Sure.
Don't know. It's dropped out of college.
I refuse to do the math.
Dropped out of college.
I didn't even try.
81 years ago.
Whatever you say, pal.
In only 81 years, now we're here with green screen, special effects, CGI,
right.
With Quentin Tarantino style, now you can tell a story out of order. You can do it like Tarantino. You can do it like Christopher Nolan. you
Yeah,
know?
and even now we've moved past green screen into movies like Oblivion, shows like The Mandalorian that are 3D, that are using 3D movement where the camera is connected to a giant screen, and based on camera movement, the background moves and the distance moves.
Kind of
from technology,
bringing right back into the play of a painted background or a painted foreground. But now it's just
like
digital.
it's almost like the snake is biting its own tail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except now, like, the mouth is really big and the tail is really small. Same thing.
It's the
but
same
like,
idea, but it's the technology has advanced to the point where it's unbelievable.
Right. So we hope you enjoyed these just, it wasn't a lot to get there, but it honestly wasn't a lot to get the ball rolling for creative minds back then.
Absolutely.
I mean, what else were you going to do? Play with a hoop and a stick?
Drink some Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
Whatever.
But I said all that to say this. That is all I had for like the
golden age.
The golden age. So next week we're going to kind of continue on the conversation into some of the darker side of it.
Right.
Not the real dark stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's not fun to talk about that kind of stuff.
Right.
But some of the stuff that's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Some of the way they used to do stunts or the way they used to treat their actors, it's like, it's a fun stuff.
Totally.
It's fun stuff. So stay tuned to next week as we continue the conversation.
Come on and hear Alexander's ragtime band. Come on and hear, it's the best band in the land. They can play a bugle call like you never heard before, so natural that you wanna go to war. That's just the bestest band what I am on the honey lamb. Come on along, let me take you by the hand. Up to the man, who's the leader of the band. And if you care to hear the Swanee River play, come on and hear,